So now we'll go on to take a look at the Genius Within profiler. I'm biased towards this because I do freelance work for Genius Within, but it's a UK specific tool at the moment anyway, and will be the pathway to you eventually, if you choose to follow that path, working with one of Genius Within's coaches, perhaps. But the beauty of this particular profiler is that it takes into account other features of a dyslexic profile other than just spelling and communication. It looks at memory, organisation, concentration, fine motor skills, so on and so forth. And it takes account of some of the wonderful skills, 3D visualization, thinking outside the box, those sorts of skills that dyslexics also exhibit. So it's a fuller kind of a profiler. And it also starts to hint at the fact that dyslexia can cross over into dyscalculia, issues with managing numbers, maybe a little bit of ADHD or Asperger's. There's no single, as we said earlier, no single precise definition. We're all wired up so differently that there is crossover into these other broad sort of terms for the way our brains, our neurosystems operate in the world. So this is the Genius Within system that you're going to look at. To be able to access it properly and to get your results, you will have to give them your name, details, and email address, and there's a possibility that somebody from Genius will then follow up and want to converse and ask for a conversation with you before making some recommendations to you. Do you find it difficult to keep track of what people are saying in conversations? Do you have difficulty with pronunciation, saying words correctly? Do you sometimes misinterpret what someone has asked you to do or get the wrong end of the stick? Do you find it difficult to get across what you are thinking? Do you get stuck and lose your thread when public speaking or reading out loud? Does your thinking often go off on a tangent which might not seem relevant to others? Do you have difficulty organising your workload? Do you find it difficult to decide on what's urgent and important? Do you struggle with getting things done? Do you have difficulty concentrating in a busy environment? Do you regularly feel like you're working under pressure? Do you abandon activities or get distracted before completing them? Do you find it hard to keep to dates and remember appointments? Do you find it hard to remember instructions or messages? Do you often check with colleagues as to what needs to be done and how? Does it take you longer to learn new processes and learn how to use new software or equipment? Do you feel you need support with finding the correct material in manuals? Do you ask for reminders when following processes or procedures despite explanation? Do you feel like you need supervision to stay on track with work activities and meet deadlines? Do you find it difficult to communicate your workflow with your supervisor? Do you seem to forget names, telephone numbers, or other details more often than others? When looking at a computer screen, do your eyes feel strained? Do words get blurred when you're reading from paper? Do you feel uncomfortable reading from whiteboards? Do you make mistakes when copying text or numbers? Do you dislike taking notes? Do you seem to spend twice as long as anybody else writing reports? Is it hard to spot your own mistakes and typos? Do you make errors when completing forms? Is spelling challenging for you? Do your sentences always make sense? Do you struggle with punctuation? Do you find it difficult to enter data sequences? Do you find summarizing information when reading or writing challenging? Would you say you were a slow reader? Do you find it difficult to take information in from reading? Do you mix up left and right? Do you get confused by road signs? Is it difficult for you to find directions? Do you need a calculator to do simple math equations? Do you get confused by math symbols? Do you find it difficult to learn practical skills? Do you find it difficult to use small tools like rulers or can openers? Do you find it hard to use a computer mouse or touchpad? Do you often bump into things? Is your handwriting difficult to read? Do you spot patterns and relationships more often than others? Do you often find different or unusual ways of doing a task? Do you make up your own versions rather than follow recipes, stories, templates or DIY instructions? Do you like to be given new and unusual tasks which don't have set rules and you can make up your own? Do you find it easy to get your point across when communicating verbally, more so than when writing? Would you say you're frequently intuitive about other people? Can you quickly understand other people's points of view? Do you find it easy to tell stories or give feedback about experiences? Can you easily figure out how something works or fits together? Do you find it easy to imagine 3D images? Do you prefer graphs or diagrams over text? Do you remember important experiences as if they were playing on a video? So now what you can do is submit your answers to Genius Within and you will get a response and then the possibility of follow-up to work directly with one of their coaches in the United Kingdom.